What's going on, everybody? This is Fantasy Draft Wood After Dark. I'm Eric Crane. I'm going to be joined soon by Big T, Tony Niehaus, who is just basically on fire, winning all the money, crushing it, just destroying everything right now. But right now, what he is crushing is trying to get his kid to sleep. So what does that mean? That means I'm going to be solo for a little bit, which is okay. I've been solo before. I was single for a while, So ain't no thanks. So anyways, here we are, week 7 of the NFL. And I love this week. I love these weeks where everybody looks and they say, oh, blah, 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 blah. This slate sucks. Guess what, guys? We're all playing with the same player pool. If it sucks for everybody. That means that if you've been digging deep all week, you've probably unearthed some gems that nobody else is talking about, which is good. All right, real quick, I want to talk about what's going on over on Fantasy Draft. I want to make sure you guys can see me. So Fantasy Draft, what's going on this week? The $25 buy-in, the run and gun. It's $100K guaranteed. That ain't no joke. Let's see if I can click the enter button. Right now it's going to be 4,600 people in this thing. So I'm going to click the enter button. I'm going to see exactly what we can win. I think it's, 25K up top? It might just be 10K because I have some flatter payouts over here on Fantasy Draft, which is nice because everybody wants that big prize, but guess what? It's really good to keep money in the economy. Nobody talks about that. It's really good. Like, nobody wants to, get 5th in a tournament where first is $1 million and second is like, a popsicle. Like, that's not good. Anyways, yeah, first on Fantasy Drafts, 10K, and the payouts are flat, which is great. 7,500 for second, 5 for third, 35 for fourth. So even if you get fourth in this one, you're not sitting here pulling your hair out saying, oh, what could have been? What could have been? You're not doing that, which is obviously nice. That's obviously what we like to do. So that's the $25 buy-in, the 100K run and gun. It's about a third of the way full right now. I actually think this is going to be the first week I'm going to script Fantasy Draft. So you guys are going to see me in a lot of your Fantasy Draft contests if you're in there, which I suggest getting in. Also this week, $5 buy-in, the Wishbone, 20K in the prize pool. That is also going to have about 4,600 people in there. They're going to have the double up. Tony just texted me. I said, going to go ahead and start. We'll be on air when you call. He says, cool, I'm doing my best. I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are, Tony. Tony doesn't mess around. Like, if he can't make it, well, then if he's not here, it's because he can't make it. So, yeah. Also going on, we got the $50 buy-in, 5K guaranteed hot route. That is not named after me as much as it seems like it is. Let's see. A bunch of doublets going on. He said he needs to win another big one so she can quit her job and take care of the kids. Yeah, good luck with that, buddy. Let's see. The $1 buy-in is a $4,000 guarantee. That's a lot of money for a buck. You can turn a buck into many, many hundreds of dollars right there. And if you guys don't want people like me putting 100 lineups in, and I get it if you don't, well, the single entry is $111. 32 people are going to be in that one. Also, there are going to be some other single entries out there as well. Plus, I want to touch on this real quick. You've heard a lot of stuff on Twitter. If you're watching the show, I assume you're on Twitter, following a lot of the DFS community. What you will not get on Fantasy Draft is you won't get a site that is just crushing you through rake. Now, I don't think a lot of people don't realize just how important the rake is. And guys, if you want to make money, every single nickel that the sites take from you, it adds up. I promise you, it adds up. You can see, if you look at my tracker for all my stuff, like, you can just see that rake just kills everything. So Fantasy Draft, the rake is 10 or 11%. So that's really great. Now, what is also really cool is they run some rake-free head-to-heads. If you click on the head-to-head tab, do that right now, you can see $50 rake-free head-to-head posted, $25 rake-free head-to-head posted. And let's say you don't want all the pros taking your games. And this is frustrating. Like, you post some games and one bleep hole goes and takes every stinking game. Well, guess what? Now on Fantasy Draft, this is a cool feature. You can block up to 25 people from taking your head-to-head games. That is enough to where you can kind of get rid of, you can get rid of the pros and get rid of the sharks. You don't have to worry about it, which is obviously really good because you don't want to be playing guys like me every week. You don't want to be playing the big T's of the world, the hoops of the world, who, of course, is not coming tonight probably because he's prepping his games to kick butt this weekend. So, yeah, I would definitely get up there and check it out. I cannot give you a good reason to play cash games on another site other than Fantasy Draft. They're rake-free. Wow, what more do people want? Rake, bleeping free. So yeah, I would definitely check that out. Guys, I know I've got the chat up right here. If you want to go ahead and ask any questions, feel free to chime in. I would love to answer any questions. I know I've been hanging out in the chat. We've been talking some Southern Illinois history, some SIU Saluki talk. We've talked a little bit about Peoria, Illinois, about Chicago, about the baseball game that was going on. Thank goodness the Astros won, because what would have happened if the Astros lost? Well, then I would have not been able to root for anybody. I don't like the Dodgers. I don't like the Yankees. I don't want teams that can just buy championships. The Astros, they built the right way. I would imagine everybody outside the Northeast, other than the random Yankee fans across the country, are going to be rooting for the Astros. Astros are going to be like one of the most cheered for teams in recent history within the World Series. Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah. Brandon Sarvis says he'll be Tony. Play Beathard, Bell, Julio, and Kerry Kittles and Bits and win all the money. I like that you combine Kerry Kittles and Kittles and Bits. Kibbles and Bits. I like that. Lev Bell versus Zeke. Who do I like? I mean, where's a coin? Do I have a coin? Like, we'll flip a Rio receipt. I don't know. Like, I think you're fine both ways. Like, those guys at the top, they're both fine. They both have high floors. They both have high ceilings. Gun to my head, I'm probably going to take Bell because he's going to get more receiving yards. But at the same time, Zeke's matchup is better. So you can go either way there. Bell is the safer play. But, actually, no. They're both safe. Bell has more upside because he's more of a receiver. But at the same time, he's probably like a 55-45 favorite as far as who's going to get the most fantasy points. So I think either one is absolutely fine. If you can get them together, go for it. It's awfully tough to do. I like some cheaper running backs this week too. So I don't think you necessarily need either. Thoughts on Henry? I'm going to have some. He's going to be the only running back there. Like, I don't love the matchup, but I do love that. He's just going to get 25 carries in this one. I also love that Jonnu Smith kid, the 2,600. He's like 5K over in fantasy draft. That tight end for Tennessee. I think he's in a phenomenal spot against Cleveland, who's just been getting lit up by tight ends all year. I understand people don't necessarily want to play a kid they've never heard of, but they're going to hear of him after this week. That's for sure. 5K flex. I don't know. 5K flex. We're talking fantasy draft prices, boys and girls. Ivory or Joe Mixon. I guess I prefer Joe Mixon of the two. I think he's fine. I'm not in love with him, though. Does Sean Lee returning about Kittle? No, it actually concerns me a little bit about Hyde. Sean Lee is a better run defender than he is a pass defender, which is a little surprising when I was looking that up earlier. But does it concern me? Not enough to get me off. That Dallas defense, they're Swiss cheese right now. Like, I think a lot of the value on this slate comes from San Francisco, where people, I've heard a lot of people say, I'm not playing Hyde, I don't trust him. He played 80% of the snaps last week. I mean, why not? Like, Hyde at his price, I think he's an absolute monster play. Oh, speaking of monster, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the tournament on Fantasy Draft, the live final qualifier, which I'm going to be firing them in this week. It's a $250 buy-in, 426 people. You get first place. That first prize, guys, as far as tournament buy-in equity and travel expenses, worth $93,000. That's a big boy number. And what does that mean? That means you're going to be heading to Carolina to play in the Carolina Millions. Now, this is the first ever fantasy draft live final. All right. And it's not one of those live finals where you got to beat 1 million people. Those get frustrating. I get it. Because, I've been to them. You feel like you have this great lineup and you're still getting 15th. And you're like, where's my big money? Well, this one, it's only a 12-person live final. And first place, it's still at $200,000. It's not like we're playing for chump change here. And if you get 12th, well, that sucks. But guess what? You're still getting $15K. Like, here are the payouts right here: $200K, $175, $150, $125, $175, $50, $35, $30, $25, $20, $15. So it's a lot of money no matter what you get. Plus, guys, the live final experience is so cool. So getting to go out and meet a lot of the people within the industry. I would not be working for RotoGrinders. You probably wouldn't be seeing me right now if I didn't make some live finals. So I would definitely check that out. $250 buy-in is too much for you. Well, what they're going to have throughout the year, and they've been having these, they had them for baseball, and I'm sure they're going to have them for basketball, where they're going to have some super satellites, $10 buy-in, $11 buy-in, a $20, $30 buy-in, like whatever the buy-in is, they're going to run super satellites to get in these bigger qualifiers. And again, if you get in, guys, It's a lot of fun, and there's massive money up top. This is qualifier number 7. There's only going to be 12. So, guys, this week, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. After this week, you only got 5 more opportunities to make the Carolina Million. So if you want to go for it, I can't blame you. Like, I would definitely go for it. I'm going to catch up on the questions right here. AJ Green thoughts. I mean, he's got the talent to get there. Like, I get it. Like, Joe Hayden's played well. Artie Burns has played well. Like, I'm not overly excited to play AJ Green. At the same time, the targets are, he's in play every week. Like, the matchup doesn't really matter that much with AJ. Like, he's in play. I think he's fine, but I'm not in love with him. Let's see. What's another question? Any Mike Evans love on DK? No. I understand the Siege made an impassioned plea for Mike Evans earlier, and he messaged me about it. Like, I always know this is the Siege when he's kind of like, I love this guy. Maybe I love him too much, because that's when my Skype was up, and he's like, hey, man, what do you think about this guy? And that's when, Coldwater Crane shows up. And I'm like, no. This is why I don't like him. I said that, that Buffalo secondary is good. He said, we'll say that to AJ Green. AJ Green went off against Buffalo because EJ Gaines was out. And that meant Sharice Wright, who is like, you see this bobblehead right here? This bobblehead is every bit as good as Sharice Wright. So, yeah, anyways, that's why AJ Green went off. Now, I understand, he's got a big height advantage and he's going to see targets. That's great. But if that's your whole argument, every cornerback is short. Like, every cornerback is like 6'1" at top. So, like, if that's your argument for playing AJ or Mike Evans, you damn well better be playing him every week, because that's going to be the case every week. I just don't love it. I think Buffalo's secondary is pretty darn good. Who's my favorite cheap quarterback? Tyrod, Huntley, or Beathard? Amongst those guys, I like Beathard. I actually like Tyrod's fine for cash games. I'm not really in love with them for tournaments, though. Like, I'm gonna let other people chase that. The linebackers in that game are pretty quick. I just don't really see it. Gurley, Ramsey, any interest to me? I love Todd Gurley this week. I don't think anybody else is playing him, and I don't understand why. I'm all about some Todd Gurley this week. Keenum in play. Dude. No. Case Keenum's not in play. No. Come on. What are you guys doing? Come on. No, not Case Keenum. Who's my pivot off Henry chalk and tournaments? People say, oh, who's your pivot off of this chalk? Sometimes the chalk is fine. I don't understand, like, why, chalk is chalk a lot of the time because it's a good play. So, if you think he's a good play, don't not play him just because of ownership. That's a terrible reason not to play a guy. Like, it's getting too good. I was at my first live final. I was talking to some people who are way smarter than I am, and they're still way smarter than I am, and they'll always be way smarter than I am. And we were talking about just kind of game theory and ownership percentage. And he says to me, you know what? People can look at ownership. They can look at game theory all they want, and that's fine. But in the end, the best plays make you the money. And that's true. Like, if you think Derrick Henry is the best play, then play him. Like, don't feel like you have to fade a guy who's a good play just because he's going to be highly owned. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. And plus, I'm looking in this price range right now. He's 10-4 over on Fantasy Draft. I mean, like, if you liked Alvin Kamara last week, you better like him again this week, just because the spot's nearly the same. I don't know. I didn't play him last week, so I don't know if I'm going to play him this week, but I think he's a reasonable play. I don't see a lot else in this range I really like. I mean, it's PPR and Fantasy Draft, so if you want some James White, I think he's seen nearly 30 targets the last 3 weeks, so you could go to James White against Atlanta. One of the strategies you can use on these sites, on Fantasy Draft, it's the only site out there anymore that has that Monday night game. I guess one of the other smaller sites does too, but like, this is really the only site where you can play that Monday night game. What does that mean? It's that everybody is doing their research for sites that have bigger price pools. Well, that's great and all, but they're moving that player pool right over to Fantasy Draft. For you guys listening, for you guys paying attention, and for you guys who want to get an edge up on the field, this is where you can play a Monday night play. That Monday night game is going to shoot out. I mean, Rashard Breeland, he's probable, but Josh Norman's out. Like, Carson Wentz might absolutely go insane in this game. So, like, that's one way you can get leverage on the field. Like, you don't have to fade a guy because, oh, he's going to be highly owned. Like, you go to a different spot who's in, like, another good spot. Like, you don't have to go nuts for that reason. There are ways to find contrarian options without taking off the good plays. Like, you can just keep playing. Like, if you like Derrick Henry this week, play Derrick Henry. No reason not to do that. Andre Ellington expected to miss. AP or nah? Andre Ellington, has as much to do with Adrian Peterson as I do with like manning an NBA team. Like they're different players. Like Andre Ellington is just a glorified wide receiver. Adrian Peterson is a running back. AP's fine. I have a theory about this game where I think the Rams are going to get out to a lead, and Bruce Arians is going to go to old school Bruce Arians and want to throw the ball 75% of the time. I'm going to be underweight on AP and overweight on the Rams defense. No. Big T did not flake. He's putting his kid to bed. And I don't know if he just didn't think I believed him or what, but he actually sent a picture of the kid. You can see the kid right there. The kid hanging onto that dolly, chilling on the carpet. Not in bed yet, though. So that's the littlest of T's, I think. So he's going to come. Let's see. Yeah, he's going to come afterwards. In theory, he's got the link. He's just got to click the button. He's got to get to his computer. And obviously, his kid's got to get put to bed until then. Let's see. I think the pivot would be Mariota and a pass catcher. Oh, you're talking about off of Henry. Look, I think that's fine. I think the hold on. Sorry, I'm looking at something really, really quickly. Yeah, I think that Cleveland secondary is actually pretty underrated. Jason McCourty's been good. Jamar Taylor's not good, but at the same time, like that's not going to be really where Matthews is. So I just think that I don't mind Mariota. I just don't love it as much as other people do. I prefer Decker to Matthews. Right now Jason McCourty is expected to shadow Rashard Matthews, and like Jason McCourty, he's been good. Like he's been good as a shadow cornerback this year. So I'm perfectly fine just rolling Decker. But again, it's Eric Decker. Like, what are we expecting? The guy's freaking like 100 years old. He's not fast. He doesn't particularly have size. Like, are we really expecting this massive game out of Eric Decker? He's projected to be the third highest on wide receiver. Like, not only I think he's fine, but I'm not in love with him like everybody else is. And I heard that everybody's talking about Eric Decker this week. Mark Ingram thoughts. I like the Saints passing offense. I think the Saints just keep airing it out regardless this week. We've seen like anytime they faced a pass funnel offense in the past, they haven't really like gone and started running the ball a ton. They just keep airing it out. So I kind of expect that to happen this week. I get Mark Ingram if you want to play him. If you think it's going to go differently, Mike Daniels being back for that Green Bay team, though, matters a ton. So that's kind of my thoughts on Ingram. He's fine. Orleans Darkwa at all. Well, he had a big game last week. 121 yards on 25 carries. I don't love the matchup for Darkwa. I think that game might end up 10-7 with Seattle. But I get it. Like, he's going to be the guy if you think the Giants can lead, it's Darkwa that's going to get the carries. Otherwise, it's going to be Shane Vereen getting a lot of stuff out of the passing game. I'm not going nuts on Darkwa, but I get it. Let's see. Russell Wilson on DK. Yeah, sure. I would pair him with Jimmy Graham if anybody. I think Russ Wilson's fine. But yeah, and by the way, we're talking fantasy draft, and I would also play him on fantasy draft. No difference. Only I'll tell you what. You know what the difference between fantasy draft and DraftKings is? You pay a lot less frag, and you have to beat a heck of a lot less people on fantasy draft for big prizes too. Like, yeah, that's what I would do. Melvin Gordon, if he goes, absolutely, and he's probable now. Like he was upgraded to probable. Usually, guys don't get upgraded to probable on Saturday unless they're actually going to play. So I think Melvin Gordon is perfectly fine. Denver's defense is no joke. Like, and I understand the DVOA against the run is good, but I mean, it's Melvin Gordon. He's the whole offense. Like, eventually, I don't play guys. I don't play receivers against Denver. The running backs against Denver, they haven't been elite other than Darkwa last week, but it's still Melvin Gordon. And he's still somebody who's just going to see an absolute ton of usage. And that kind of usage just doesn't grow on trees. It's my same argument with Todd Gurley, only Gurley has a better matchup. Walking Dead premiere NFL. You've never seen The Walking Dead. Never seen it. Am I missing out, chat? You guys let me know. I don't know. Right now, my taste in TV, much like music, is just terrible. So I watched like Survivor and Big Brother. If you're all in on the Saints, no, wait. I'm not all in on the Saints. I did not say that. I like their passing attack. I love Michael Thomas. Not all in on the Saints. Who do I like to bring it back with Green Bay? I think that the whole "you've got to bring it back" thing is such a load of shit. I don't think it's as big of a deal as everybody else does. You don't need a game. That's what's happening if you're needing a game to go 45-38 or something. That's not going to happen. Usually once a week that doesn't happen. So I don't think it's necessary to bring it back. Plus, I don't know who Brett Hundley's going to throw to. Anybody who says, oh, this guy for the Packers is absolutely 100% going to go off. Anybody who says that is either lying to you or lying to themselves, because we just don't know what. I mean, this is a kid who in college, he runs the ball a ton. Everybody knows by now, 30 touchdowns in 3 years as a starter at UCLA. He struggles in the pocket when he's pressured. He's got a big arm. He's got a cannon as an arm, but he's really inaccurate. So we don't know what's going to happen right now. Those boundary cornerbacks for the Saints, they're actually pretty darn good right now. Ken Crawley and Marshawn Lattimore, they've both been really good this year. They struggle in the slot, which is why I would go to Randall Cobb in that spot. But we don't know what Hundley's going to do. And this is a rookie making his first start, and anybody who says they know what's going to happen is just lying to you. All right, there's my rant. Let's see. Thoughts on LeSean McCoy? I don't love him as much as other people do. Like those linebackers, like I said, they're fast, and that's the kind of guy that LeSean McCoy struggles with. Is positive T regression coming? Yeah, I know that's the sexy thing to say, and it probably is. He is going to be chalky. He's going to be the most popular running back on the slate, which I did not expect when this week started. If you want to play him, that's fine. If you like the matchup, go for it. I don't think I'm going to be – he'll probably make some lineups of mine, but I'm not going to go nuts with LeSean McCoy. I think he's overrated this week. Mariota or Wentz, we're talking fantasy draft, and I would go Wentz there because A, because I like the matchup better, B, because I like the ownership. Game of Thrones over Walking Dead. I do watch Game of Thrones. I think that's really bad. Oh, we need Westworld needs to come back. When does Westworld come back? Somebody out there on the internet look that up, because I love me some Westworld. I want to watch that. Game of Thrones, obviously, that'll come back sometime by the time I'm 80 years old. So ready for that. Let's see what those dragons do after blowing up the wall. Spoiler alert. Walking Dead is trash. I'm sorry to hear that, Walking Dead. I'm missing out. See, you guys kidding? You gotta get your bleep together. Big Brother, LOL Wolf. I will say this was the first year in probably 10 years that I did not finish the season of Big Brother. The characters were just beyond unlikable this year. So I stopped watching, which I don't usually do. Usually I feel pot committed at that point and I keep going. But this year was not it. Netflix recommendation. West Wing. West Wing is the best television show of all time, so I would watch West Wing on that. Favorite tight end play? I mean, it's got to be Gronk. Like, if you can pay for Gronk. If you want in the mid-range, play Jimmy Graham against the Giants. Every tight end goes off against the Giants. And if you want to save some money, go to Jonnu Smith. I think Smith is a really good play this week. Yeah, Westworld is amazing. Who's the one player I seem to be overweight on? Michael Thomas. Todd Gurley's up there too. Like, I cannot believe that Michael Thomas isn't projected for a higher ownership. I feel the same way about Dez. Like, I think both those guys are just in the absolute smash spots. All right. Westworld seems to come back in spring of 2018. Now, that's too damn long. When did these shows decide that it was okay to take a break for 2 years before coming back? I don't understand when that became a thing. It's a bad thing. When did these shows decide that was okay? I moved on to other things by spring of 2018. I'm doing other stuff, man. I'm going to get to Westworld. I'm not going to know anybody's name. I'm not going to remember a storyline. That's why I did with Game of Thrones, because it was off for a while. I went back and rewatched the entire last season because I didn't remember. But you know what? Maybe that's what Westworld's doing. Maybe they're saying, we're going to make everybody rewatch the whole series. Yeah, I can see that's what happened. I still haven't heard from Tony. So we're just going to keep asking questions. I understand if you guys want the big T. Of course, you know I want the big T too. I miss you, Tony. I hope the kid's in bed. Hope everything's okay. I know the kid right now did not look very happy about getting up. He was hanging out with the dolly, just curled up in a little ball, holding on. So I get it. But actually, I don't get it. I don't have kids. So maybe someday. Tight end in the flex. I think you can do that this week. I think this is actually the first week I've said it's okay. But there are a number of good tight end plays. Mentioned Gronk, Jonnu Smith, Jimmy Graham. Ertz is in a fine situation. I'm looking for some other guys. I think. There's one other guy, Hunter Henry. He's too cheap. He's $8K over on Fantasy Draft. You can check that out. Any Jai Love? Yeah, I think he's fine. I wish that offensive line was better, but. Um, oh man. Okay, guys. Here's news. All right. Trying my hardest, but the harder I try, the more she isn't having it. I'm going to turn the show on and join chat. So, what's going to happen pretty soon, I guess, is that Tony's going to get on his computer. He's going to turn the show on and say, "Oh, Crane, I'm so sorry you've been solo for 20 minutes." Said, "Sorry, didn't mean to say I was coming and then not, but got no options." You know what, Tony? That's okay. I'm going to go ahead and send you the picture right now. Okay, so this is what I want everybody in the chat to do. I want everybody in the chat to type boo, B-O-O-O-O-O, and I'm going to take a picture and I'm going to send it to Tony so he knows exactly what he's doing to us. So I'm going to get the chat ready. All right, it's going to be right here. I'm going to do this face. And so when I'm going to go 3, 2, 1, everybody type boo. 3, 2, 1. Boo. Here, I'm going to start it out right here. Boo. There we go. Yeah, all the boos. That's what we need. All the boos. All right, I'm going to get the phone up. All right, I think I got it. Hold on. All right, let me make sure. Oh, perfect. Oh, that's really great. All right. Okay, so I'm going to send that picture. We're good with the booze, guys. I appreciate your enthusiasm. But, all right, I sent this to Tony. This is the photo that Tony's getting. You can see right there my sad face. You can see all your guys' booze. So we know. Tony knows. He gets that. I love that we gave him the booze. I really appreciate that, guys. Oh, it's too funny. Boo. I got to read it like, oh, booze. Get in here, Tony. That made the picture. There's an interesting tweet. Brandon Streech said, Syracuse, Miami absolutely destroyed the field today at Hard Rock Stadium. Miami could be a big factor for Jets Dolphins Sunday. I mean, that game, you don't want to play any of the passers from that game. It's going to be super windy. I remember Roth was saying that it was going to be 20 to 25 mile an hour winds down there. And I don't necessarily want the passers anyways, but that's another reason where I like Ajayi right there. I like, so I do like Ajayi in that game, by the way. Thoughts on Demaryius? I think that he is going to be massively overowned, and I don't like the matchup against the Chargers. Woods and Ivory. Ivory, no. Woods, maybe. They're benching Justin Bethel, Traymon Williams. He's going to come in, and if Traymon Williams struggles, they're going to keep throwing it at Woods. If Traymon Williams shuts him down a few times, not necessarily. It's going to be a girly game. So I'm going to be underweight on both of them. I'm going to be way underweight on Ivory. Excuse me. Crane doing it right with no kids. I don't know. We'll see. I like kids. Kids get along. My niece comes over here a couple times a week. She's my buddy. She hops up. I'll sit here in front of the computer. She types on everything. Have a good time. Where's my case? Where's your case? I don't know what case you mean. My case of what? I have my case of 5-hour energies. Value pack. I have a case of, oh, wait. I don't know if you call this a case, but I have like a case of Double Mint gum. That's all the cases I have. So that's my case. Besides Thomas and Dez, who's your favorite high-price wideout? You just want like my whole player pool, huh? Let's see. Let me just look real quick. I mean, it's got to be Julio, right? Like you play Julio at New England. Like if they don't feature Julio here, I don't know when they're going to. So Julio's got to be the guy for me. Cardinals receivers. No, I don't. John Brown. I have a thing for John Brown. I'm just gonna keep. I'm just gonna keep playing John Brown. I have a weakness for him. Where's my phone case? Is what you mean? What's wrong with my phone? Oh, because you see my phone cracked. Yeah, that's been a number of ways. I just drop stuff everywhere. Goff's sneaky. He's sneaky if you want to lose. He will be very sneaky, and nobody will play him because he's a bad play. Wait a second. We've got a sighting in the chat. Tony Niehaus has chimed in. He's typed, has Crane talked about kills and bits yet? And William Burnich replied with, boo. Tony, buddy, come on. You leave me hanging. I've been on air for 20 minutes alone. Oh, but you know what? Next time, I'll tell you what. Siege was giving me crap about not coming on the show. Next time, I'm just going to invite Siege. We'll see how you guys like that. Anyways, Kivitles and Bits. I think he's fine this week. I have no problem with that. I like Beathard with him. I love Hyde in that game. Let's go through some quarterbacks that we like. Tony, you just feel free to type in anytime you want. If we're on fantasy draft now, of course, we do have the Monday night and the Sunday night game, which matters because nobody's going to play these guys because everybody's going to take their player pool from one side, bring it over here, and on here you have more options. And that Monday night and Sunday night games, by the way, they're going to shoot out, especially that Monday night game, and nobody's talking about it. Nobody's going to play Cousins or Wentz, and I love both of them this week. Oh, somebody says, do I love Mac? I love Mac this week with no tournament. Am I crazy? I think you're crazy to love him. I will have some of him. He has explosive ability, and we've seen that team give up some big runs. But love, I wouldn't go that far. I definitely wouldn't go that far as love. Oh, man, yeah. Big T is definitely on daddy daycare duty. Anyways, quarterbacks, I think Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Matt Ryan are all fine if you're paying up. Dak, I get it, but I prefer Brees, Ryan, and Brady there. If you're saving money, you can go Beathard. There are a number of ways you can go if you're saving money here. I'm just going to scroll down. Tyrod's the chalk. I think he's okay. I don't love him. Hundley, I think, is interesting. Who else did I like down here? I think Kaiser's fine. I think who's the other? CJ Beathard. I think all those guys are fine if you're saving money. I'm leaning towards saving money at quarterback this week, but again, games will start for another 12 hours. We'll see where I go. Also, Carson Wentz, Kirk Cousins. Both these guys priced really cheap. 12.6 for Wentz, 12.3 for Cousins. So if you want to really get some leverage on the field, it's a Monday night game. Nobody's playing those guys on this site, so you can definitely check that out. Mixon or Tevin Coleman. I think Tevin Coleman has more upside than Mixon. Mixon's definitely the safer play, but see, Tony's in there with Tevin Coleman too. I like it. Dallas, San Fran had the greatest shoot-up pitch outside of the Sunday and Monday. Yes, absolutely. Who to stack with Wentz and Cousins? Wentz, you can go – well, I'll tell you, you need to go Alshon Jeffrey. That's who you need to go with Wentz. Josh Norman is out. Sharp Breeland, he's banged up, but he's likely to play, but he's still banged up. Play Alshon, stack some money. If you go Cousins, I mean, pick your poison, man. Like, there's so many different ways you can go stacking Cousins. That's why I like stacking Wentz. I'm probably not playing Duke this week. I like that linebacking core and the defense of it, the pass coverage of it, so I'm probably not playing Duke. Let's go on to some running backs. So let's talk some running backs on fantasy draft. Is Kaiser in play? I think Kaiser's in play, yeah. Running backs, Bell and Zeke, of course, you're paying up. They're fine. Gurley, I love Gurley this week. I don't think anybody's going to play him. I don't think anybody wants to pay that price. He's kind of in that no man's land. You look at Zeke, he's 17 over on fantasy draft. Lev Bell, 17.3 over on fantasy draft. Then a lot of people are going to play LaShawn McCoy for $14K, which means 15.4 for Gurley. He is going to get lost in the shuffle. I saw the ownership projection on Roto Grinders earlier. He was 10%. I actually think he's going to be less than that because he's in that, that kind of no man's land by himself. So Gurley, one of my favorite plays this week. Devontae Freeman, we already talked about Tevin Coleman. Both those guys are fine. CJ Anderson, nobody's going to play him this week, and I like him. The Chargers have been getting lit up by the run, and CJ Anderson, meanwhile, burned everybody last week. He's not that bad. He got game scripted out. That's unlikely to happen because the Denver defense does not get lit up very often, and certainly not going to get lit up by the Chargers. Other running backs I don't hate: Jordan Howard, Jerick McKinnon, Jay Ajayi. The typical. Derrick Henry I think is fine if DeMarco's out, so you can go to any of those guys. Tony, would you like to chime in with anything? I'm just going to wait and watch the chat. Tony, come on, chat. He's probably wiping a diaper or something. What defense is in play? I think the Chargers are the chalk. I think they're fine. I usually don't find my defenses till Sunday morning, to be honest. Oh, he says Lev Bell, GOAT. Good, get some good analysis, Tony. I'm glad you could help out here. Other defenses, I think. Let's see who else. I think the Rams are fine. I think Indianapolis is fine. Like if Fournette's out, there's a chance that Jacksonville opens it up for Bortles a little bit, and if that happens, like we all know, it can get ugly quick. McKinnon thoughts? I think McKinnon's fine. His workload is locked in right now. Vikings defense, I've heard a lot of talk about them. Okay. The Seattle defense, like that Giants team still can't stop a pass rush. Lev, Zeke, Gurley going up at running back for sure. Yeah, good. I mean, yes, Tony, nothing gets by you. Yep, you can play any of those guys. It's just tough to fit them all. Like, God, salary cap. Oh, that stinking salary cap. Yeah, love Grain Curly call super sneaky. He's probably going to be my highest owned running back this week. Not going to lie to you. Bethard and Kittles for all the giblets. Tony, who's your cheap quarterback this week? You got to be on CJ Beathard. That is right up your alley, man. Bills D, Giants D, sneaky. The Seattle offensive line is bad. The Bills, yeah, you can play them. Jameis is a little bit banged up. That offensive line, not great. I am absolutely on the Bills defense this week. So wide receivers, we already talked about this a little bit. If you're paying up, Antonio's matchup proof, and the matchup is good with no Pac-Man Jones. Is every fantasy draft contest Sunday morning? Yes, it is. So more players to choose from, and you can get some leverage on the field because nobody else plays those guys from that game, even though they're good. Tony's all in on Beathard. Of course he is. I don't hate it. I have no problem with Beathard. Like, I'm really torn between a number of those cheap quarterbacks still. With Garcon or Kittle, I think Kittle's fine. And I think Garcon's fine too. Like, any of those guys are fine. Julio, we already talked about him. If it doesn't happen this week, I just have to cut the cord. But the Patriots can't stop anybody, and their top two defensive backs are hurt. So, I mean, if it doesn't work, whatever, but I'm going to keep going to it. Des Bryant, I think, is in an elite spot. Michael Thomas, I already told you guys, he's going to be one of my highest owned guys. Number of ways you can go on fantasy draft. And I'll tell you what, I know a lot of people are asking about these expensive quarterbacks. Well, if you're willing to roll the dice and go cheap, then the roster construction, if you're going to some of those guys like CJ Beathard, like Tony talked about, like Tyrod Taylor, like a Brett Hundley, the roster construction really opens up a lot. If you want to really roll the dice, by the way, look a little for our Tony and I's boy, Torrey Smith. No Josh Norman out this week. Torrey might get some of that backup cornerback. Could be a pretty thing. Rashard Lewis back in play if McCourty's out. I expect McCourty to play. If he's out, then yeah, I have more interest in Rashard Matthews, and I'd have to reevaluate not playing that one guy, Marcus Mariota. But we'll have to wait till the morning to see. You know, it's always tough the night before. We don't get all the injury information until the morning. And let's be honest, that injury information on Sunday mornings, that's the important thing. All right, tight ends. We already talked about some tight ends over on Fantasy Draft, fantasydraft.com. Gronk, obviously the top option. And, I mean, like, you play Gronk if you can fit him in. He's probably going to score the most points for tight ends. Like, it's going to be hard for you to go wrong playing Gronk. Jimmy Graham, another guy in a great spot. The Giants can't defend the tight end. Jimmy Graham seeing more targets before the bye. After the bye, I expect that to continue, especially now that he's healthier. 9,200 on Fantasy Draft. You're actually getting a small discount there from the other side. So I'm definitely like Jimmy Graham. Let's see. Tony says Jonnu Smith and O'Leary. Who's this O'Leary cat, Tony? Like, I am not familiar with Mr. O'Leary. Like, Mike O'Leary, I'm familiar with him. I don't know any other O'Leary. I think there's a bar I went to named O'Leary's once. But yeah, Jonnu Smith, I definitely like. Delaney Walker is expected to be out. And it's a freaking $2,600. Hold on. Jonnu Smith, he's got to be less than, I'm pulling up his price. Nick O'Leary, the Buffalo guy. Oh, come on. Tony, don't do it. Those Tampa Bay linebackers are reasonably quick. Jonnu Smith over on Fantasy Draft is, when I can't find him, it's a good sign that there he is. 5K. So the bare minimum more on Fantasy Draft for Jonnu Smith. It's a starting tight end against Cleveland. He's going to see over 95% of the snaps. There's no reason not to play him. That value is just way too good. If you want to go with Gronk, play him in the flex. That's fine. But Jonnu Smith, excellent. No, it's not official that Delaney's out, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be out. Yeah, Fantasy Draft is essentially DK scoring. Just made a Fantasy Draft lineup with Gronk and left 900 on the table. See, it's nice. Another nice thing about Fantasy Draft, more flexibility. You get two guys in the flex. It's just better. It's better, guys. I'm going to have at least 80% Jonnu. I think you go cheap at quarterback and you go Jonnu Smith, it really opens up a lot of stuff. So, yeah, that's what I would do this week. I would tight end. I like that roster construction. I like it quite a bit. Yeah, and you can have all the Kittles and bits if you want it. You can have some Jonnu and some Kittles and bits. And you know what? That's not a bad meal. That's not a bad meal. Guys, it's 11:30 at night, and I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a little tired. I've been writing up games all week for my package over on Roto Grinders. If you want to check that out, obviously go and do it. Click on the marketplace. Click on DFS Consulting by a Millionaire. It's expensive, but because it's expensive, it's exclusive, and I ain't giving out the information for everybody, so I would check that out. Also, I'll be on Roto Grinders in the morning with Big T and with Andy Means Andy means business, doing the fantasy draft happy hour before all the kickoffs. Let's see, that show starts in about 14 hours. So Tony, I hope you can get your kid to bed by then. I hope so. Because if not, well, then you got bigger problems. And yeah, the morning wood is soon. But thanks so much for joining me, guys. I appreciate it. It's a lot of fun. A little solo show for half an hour. No breaks. Tony, buddy, I forgive you. I want you to know that. You're welcome. Go Blues. Beat up the Las Vegas Knights tonight. I'm Eric Crane. Thanks so much, Fantasy Draft, for sponsoring the show. We'll see you later. Peace.